me that question, no, I'm not having any second thoughts about representing President Trump. It is the proudest thing I could ever do. What I am having second thoughts about is the license that I stand here with that the people in there are supposed to have. Let me now speak about what has happened. I have sat on trial after trial for months in this state, the state of New York. Attorney General Letitia James, and now this. Weeks. Don't get it twisted. We are seeing a violation of our justice system. Ladies and gentlemen, you are not allowed to be stripped of every defense that you have.
All right, so you're getting an idea now about why Donald Trump's attorney is perceived as effective as she is, which is not particularly effective.
It seems like the judge in the E. Jean Carroll case isn't the only one that has had enough of Alina Habba's lies and projection. And who can blame him?
She said outside court that she didn't regret representing Trump. But I mean, do you know both of them? Do you think it's the other way around, that he regrets having represented him in this?
I'm glad you asked me that question.
You know, I don't know. I mean, certainly, you know, from my perspective, I would regret having her represent him.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt!
And far from a week to remember for outspoken Trump attorney or former attorney, who knows at this point, Alina Habba, as not only does she continue to proudly admit her losses on camera,
That got assigned to a Clinton-appointed judge. What do you think happened? Nobody's heard of the case, right? It's because it's gone. I never met the judge. I never walked into the courtroom. There were probably 50 lawyers representing all of the radical left. Clinton's lawyers, Mook's lawyers, the list goes on and on and on. 1 month. It got dismissed, and me and President Trump got sanctioned $1 million for going against crooked Hillary.
but it seems she was thrown under the bus by the very man she claimed was one of the most ethical people in America.
Donald Trump seems to have fired his lawyer, Alina Habba. I'm in the process, along with my team, of interviewing various law firms to represent me in an appeal of one of the most ridiculous and unfair witch hunts our capital C country has ever seen.
But more importantly, she continues to rack up sanctions. Alina Habba was threatened with sanctions from E. Jean Carroll's attorney for not bothering to fact-check claims of mentorship and a conflict of interest that did not exist. But that was not the first time she has faced sanctions. In fact, last year, a Florida-based federal judge sanctioned her and Trump almost $1 million, $938,000 to be exact, for their frivolous lawsuit they filed against Hillary Clinton and 30 other defendants. This is the one where Trump claimed Hillary Clinton somehow conspired with former FBI Director James Comey to prosecute Trump. The judge not only dismissed the suit, but said it was an abuse of the legal system. The judge in his order said, quote, "The amended complaint is a hodgepodge of disconnected, often immaterial events, followed by an implausible conclusion. This is a deliberate attempt to harass, to tell a story without regard to facts." It's unusual for a lawyer to be sanctioned at all in their career. Alina Habba was sanctioned twice just in that case.
You have a right to hire a lawyer who can stand up and say something when they see something wrong. But I was told to sit down today. I was yelled at, and I've had a judge who is unhinged slamming a table. Let me be very clear. I don't tolerate that in my life. I'm not going to tolerate it here. And you know what? You shouldn't either.
And the amount of the sanction, nearly $1 million, is almost unheard of and shows just how bad the filing that she filed in this lawsuit was. There was a lack of even the most basic legal requirements. The judge went on to say the plaintiff consistently misrepresented and cherry-picked portions of public reports and filings to support a false factual narrative. Often the report or filing actually contradicted his allegations. It happened too often to be accidental. Its purpose was political, not legal. Factual allegations were made without any evidentiary support in circumstances where falsity is evident. The plaintiff recklessly advanced claims foreclosed by existing precedent that the most basic legal research would have revealed.
I do think that in both of these trials, he was essentially undefended. And I think that it could have turned out differently. I mean, in the second trial, unfortunately, because of the way the first trial went, I don't think anybody could have won the second trial. I think that, once the issues were set up from the first trial, second trial was a loser from the beginning. The question is how big of a loser. And this goes back to, a jury is going to come up with a number. And you have to put on the best presentation to them to get them to come to a lower number. And so all of these, things that she did throughout the process, I don't think helps at all.
What about him?
And that's also a matter of, in the courtroom, the attorney is the one who should be telling the client, how to act, what to be doing, and everything else. And, one thing I always tell my clients is, in the courtroom, there's only 12 opinions that matter, and yours is not one of them. Everything we do has to be guided by, what are those people in that box going to see? What are they going to hear? What are they going to think? How is it going to affect their state of mind?
Judge went on to eviscerate Trump's pattern of abuse, of abusing the legal system for political purposes. It's funny because Trump claims to be the victim, but he's the one that's been victimizing people for years in the legal system. And all of us have to pay for it as taxpayers. In addition to this case, and just to name a recent few, he sued individually the 19 members of the Pulitzer Prize Award Board for not rescinding the Pulitzer Prize they gave to the New York Times. That was dismissed outright as frivolous. Then he sues Attorney General Letitia James in her individual capacity, also dismissed outright. Then he sues Twitter and CNN, both dismissed as frivolous, all with different judges. Of course, his most dangerous frivolous lawsuits were the ones he filed saying that the 2020 election was stolen, which were all dismissed outright by many judges because of lack of evidence.
They are as grave offenses as an incumbent president could commit against the United States, with the possible exception of treason. Donald Trump, though, has decided to inflict this ordeal on the nation on any day since January 6th, he could have avoided and prevented this indictment today. He chose not to. And so the nation's in for a spectacle that the former president wanted. That means for the next year and a half, the former president will be on trial for criminal offenses against the United States while he's campaigning for the presidency as the presumptive Republican nominee for the American presidency.
There's one thing you can say about Alina Habba. Just like her boss, she doesn't let her losses dent her confidence or delusion. After she lost a case that cost her client $83.3 million, she took to Instagram and compared herself more favorably to the multi-award winning billionaire Taylor Swift.
And I'm a religious person. This is God's plan for me. It is God's plan, and I believe in God. I'm a woman of faith. I am. And I can tell you, God put me in this place to help President Trump and the Trump family navigate.
I'm wondering what one or two of your most favorite Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal.
But if you think her legal missteps are going to somehow end up with no options for her, I think that you shouldn't be too worried. If anything, she will probably fail upward, let's say, and end up as a Fox News contributor.
I've heard from a lot of legal analysts, and they say what is different about this case than the federal cases is Georgia has laws that are specifically tailored to election interference and things like that. Andy McCarthy, a Fox News contributor, and also he wrote an op-ed in the New York Post, he said that the Georgia indictment is the most perilous threat to former President Trump. Does President Trump know that this is a perilous threat?
We do not agree that it is a perilous threat because we actually have inside information. So when people,
What inside information?
well, the inside information, Steve, and you know, you used to love Trump, but that, I gotta tell you.